Hey everyone, in today's video we're going to learn how to make one of these Valentine's hearts. So we're going to start off with 150 grams of icing sugar and 75 grams of butter. Now you're going to cream this while we put together everything else. So we've got flour, ground almonds, some salt and some cocoa powder. So we're going to put all this in a bowl and then we're going to just mix that together so that the ingredients are all combined. So whilst we're doing this, the butter and the sugar have had time to cream, and so we want to make sure that that's a really light and fluffy consistency. Once the butter's come together, we're going to add 1 egg, and we're just going to mix that on high speed, obviously making sure that we're cleaning the sides of the bowl and then remixing. Whilst that's mixing, we're going to get an egg yolk ready. So I just crack mine in half and then tip the yolk between the shell until all of the white part comes away. And then we're just going to add this to the mix that we're already mixing and carry on mixing that on high speed. So this should all come together and it should give quite a light fluffy texture, and it should look quite silky and smooth. So you want to remember to clean the sides of the bowl just so that we can mix everything in properly. Once it's all come together, it should be quite pale like this. It's a bit of like an Angel Delight kind of consistency. So once you've got to that stage, we're then going to add the dry ingredients. Now I always add in threes, so we're going to split this mixture into 3 and you're going to add until it just comes together. We don't want to overmix the flour, so you want to do it on a slow speed, and we're just going to mix it till it comes together, and then we're going to add in some more dry ingredients. And you're going to keep doing this until you've got everything in there. Now it should get quite dark, and we're looking for a consistency that when you grab some and you squeeze it, it holds itself together and it doesn't crack. If your mixture is drier than that, at this stage, you can add in up to a teaspoon of milk, just to get it to that consistency where it holds together. So once we've mixed it, I'm going to scrape off the sides again. So you can see it looks a bit like crumbled biscuits and it's holding itself together. Next we're going to take some cling film and we're just going to pour some of the mixture on here. Now we need to put the mixture in the fridge for anywhere between half an hour. I mean, it can be in the fridge for up to 2 days at this point, but it needs to chill for a minimum of half an hour before we work with it again. So you want to push it down into a circle and then just use your cling film just to push in the little bits that are not stuck down. And then we're just going to wrap this up and we're going to stick this in the fridge, and we're going to do the same for the other half that's in there. There should be enough here to give you a minimum of 2 layers. I found there was quite a lot left, and so I could have done a 3rd layer, but I just didn't have time. So we're going to do the same with this one. We're just going to wrap it up and then put that in the fridge as well. Now once it's been in the fridge, you bring it out and you would need to let it come a little bit more to room temperature. So you would need to leave it on the side for around about 20 minutes before you start working with it again. Like I say, you can leave it in the fridge for up to 2 days. And so just making sure that's nice and pressed together. So this is the one that's come out of the fridge. I've left it to come to room temperature for about 20 minutes. Now I felt that this was a little bit dry, and so what I did was I broke it down and then just added a little bit of milk to it. So you, like I said, you can add up to a teaspoon of milk. I wouldn't add any more than that, because then it becomes too wet and it doesn't cook properly. and then you end up with sort of a bit of a soggy biscuit. So just poured a little bit of milk in there, and I'm just pushing it all and bringing it together. So always remember to roll it out onto some greaseproof paper. Now you can put a bit of corn flour on the top just to stop it from sticking to the rolling pin. You want to roll it until it's probably about, I would say, half a centimetre thick. Now you need to roll it also big enough to cut whatever shape out you want. So basically I did a heart. I took some greaseproof paper, I folded it in half, I drew half of a heart on one side, and then I cut that out. So you want to make sure that whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's a heart, a number, or a letter, that the piece that you roll out is big enough to cut that shape out of. Now you'll keep it on this greaseproof paper until you've baked it in the oven. So we're just going to use a sharp knife just to cut around the shape. So the greaseproof paper should actually stick down to the shape that you're looking to carve as well. So just going around it slowly with the knife and then removing the excess from the middle. Now when you come to pick this up, make sure that you pull either side of the baking paper, because if you allow it to dip in the middle, it can cause cracking. You need to keep that paper nice and straight so that you can just lift it up and then put it in the oven. Now I've found with both of these you needed to bake them for around about 10 to 12 minutes. So if you set the timer for 10 minutes and find that when you open it it's still quite soft to touch and the edges just haven't darkened yet, then put it in for another 2 minutes. And you want to bake these at 175. So I'll put all this info down below so that you can have that to go back on. So pop that in the oven, and whilst that one's in the oven, we're going to do exactly the same with the other one. So I put this one in the mixer and just added a little bit of milk. It was a little bit dry. And so again, we're just going to roll this out using the same method as what we did before. You can put some corn flour on there if you want to. Now with this one, because these are for Valentine's Day, we decided not to go and do the normal cream that would go with these, and we've actually just done buttercream. The reason for that is once these have had the, I think it's called the diplomat cream, it needs to be kept in the fridge and then it has to be eaten within 2 days. I don't have the fridge space to have 7, 8 of these all in the fridge at one time, and so we decided to opt for the buttercream instead. I will put a recipe down below for the other kind of cream, and then it's up to you guys which you would prefer to do. I did chocolate buttercream with this one because obviously it's a chocolate biscuit. So again, just cutting around the edge of this one, making sure that the edges are not too rough. So if you've got some flaky bits or some bits that aren't quite smooth, you can just pat them down with your fingers. So again, this one will take 10 to 12 minutes, same as the one before. So by the time you've done this one, the other one in the oven should be finished. So now we've finished, I've got some chocolate buttercream and just one of the nozzles that have got the circle in. And we're just going to go around and pipe on the outside edges first. Just makes it look a little bit more uniformed. Now I turned this biscuit over because when I made the buttercream we had an icing explosion, which is why some of the cake looks like it's a little bit white on the outside. Obviously if this was a customer order I would have opted to rebake. And so we're just going to make our way around the outer edge now, Just doing some small dollops. Make sure that you have the piping bag firm enough in your hand. And then once you've done the outer and the inner edge, we're just going to go fill in those gaps. It's working your way all the way down and round. Now I did 250 butter and 500 icing sugar, and I just about used all of that just for these 2 layers. So placing the second biscuit on the top, not pushing down too hard because you still want to see the pattern that we've created. And we're just going to follow the same thing that we did before. So around the outer edge and the inner edge first, and then we're going to fill in those gaps. So try to keep the dollops all roughly about the same size. And you want to pull the piping bag and the nozzle off the buttercream. So you're pushing the buttercream on, giving it a squidge and then pulling it off. So you need to stop squeezing when you pull it off, otherwise it's just going to keep coming out. So once you've gone round and filled in all the gaps with your buttercream, we're then going to decorate. So I got some flowers, some strawberries, some raspberries, some chocolate buttons, and I also got some love hearts as well, but you can decorate with whatever you want. So if you're using anything fresh fruit wise, so here I've got the strawberries, we're going to cut them in half, and then I've got some apricot jam. The apricot jam you need to pin on the part of the strawberry that's open. That's going to stop it from drying out, it's going to stop it from discolouring, and it's going to give it that nice fresh look until it's collected and eaten. It just helps preserve the strawberry. You can use it on, if you used to put apples on there or anything like that. I didn't bother with the raspberries because obviously they're not open in that way. So just using a paintbrush, just popping on a really, really thin layer. Just making sure that you cover all of the part that's being cut open. Now this part is the part I like best. It's just basically about placing everything on wherever you feel that it looks good. Now these flowers, I've actually applied safety seal to the base of the flower so that the flower stem is not directly in contact with the cake. You could use tape if you wanted to as well. And it's just a case of going round and filling in any gaps anywhere. Deciding whether you need more strawberries or anything like that. You could decorate with some marshmallows, some meringues, some macarons if you wanted to. So I got some of the love hearts with the really nice messages on there, and I just popped them on as well, just to make it a little bit more Valentine-y. These cakes are quite simple and quite quick to do. It's always nice to do something that doesn't take as much time as making a figure or anything like that. So again, just making sure that you use the apricot jam, otherwise your fruit will dry out and it won't look as nice. So there we have my version of one of the cream tarts, ideal for Valentine's Day. I hope you've enjoyed today's tutorial. If you have, please click the thumbs up button and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And if you'd like to see more of my videos, please click the links on the screen now. Thanks for watching.